How's it going, everyone? I got a special guest with me today, John Maakaron, publisher of SI Fan Nations, All Lions. John, thank you so much for giving me some time. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm excited. It's a great opportunity. Detroit Lions making their way out west, taking on the elite of the NFL and the 49ers, man. It's going to be great. NFC title game and two teams that truly belong there playing at a high level. And I think it's going to be a contest that many people are going to want to stick and stay with because of the way in which these two teams mirror each other.
Well, the Niners have sort of been knocking on the door of the Super Bowl for about 4 years. Lions are making their move right now. And the last time these teams faced each other, week 1, 2021, it ended up being a close game, but it was sort of the beginning of the rebuild for the Lions. Now they're here, and I don't think Niners fans know the first thing about the Lions. So I got 5 questions for you. What are the Lions' biggest strengths?
Yeah, absolutely. Clearly, it's on the offensive side of the football. Ben Johnson, a candidate that has been interviewing all across the league because of the fact that he's put together in these last couple years an offense that has taken the Lions from really being a middling organization to one that has a red zone efficiency in the top 5 of the NFL, taken Jared Goff from a cast-off in the trade of Matthew Stafford and making him look like an all-pro quarterback. So the strength of the team clearly is the offense. It's an offense that the front office has invested in. The first pick that this new regime that came in 2021 made, number 7 overall, Penei Sewell. Elite is the best way that 49er fans can really look at this player. He's an unbelievable talent, and he really sets the tone for an offensive line that has really kept Jared Goff upright and has been the straw that stirs the drink with this offense. And then you look at it, Jared Goff has just been playing out of this world in regards to keeping the football, protecting, obviously the turnover issues that plagued him with the Rams have kind of steadily declined all throughout this year because of the fact that Ben Johnson understood what he had in this player and tailored an offense that suited his needs. Look, Dan Campbell initially made a mistake in 2021. He named Anthony Lynn the offensive coordinator, and it's just completely a mismatch. Dan Campbell is aggressive. He wants to move the football down the field. And early on, it was pretty clear that Anthony Lynn was not going to be the right fit. So Dan Campbell quickly made the change to Ben Johnson, a young assistant, hot assistant that was rising up the ranks. And boy, in 2 short years running the offense, you see one of the top scoring offenses in the entire National Football League.
It's interesting. Anthony Lynn's with the Niners now, and Penei Sewell could have been with the 49ers, but they took Trey Lance. All right, moving on. What are the Lions' biggest weaknesses?
Yeah, and it's real interesting. I think that the 49ers quickly, Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel are going to be looking and going, oh my goodness, that secondary of Detroit has some weaknesses. And look, Cam Sutton, we don't want to pile on a player that's been a veteran. It's just an unbelievably tough position. The Sauce Gardeners don't grow on trees, people. It just doesn't happen. But in Detroit, that's the clear-cut need this offseason when this season's done, whenever that may be. Brad Holmes needs to find a true shutdown cornerback. Obviously, when you're going into a big game and you got Cam Sutton and Kindle Vildor, an individual that really is what you call a journeyman, and they're trying to make it so that they cover up the needs in the secondary with a great defensive line and 3 all-world safeties. But San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan knows right now that there's some explosive plays that potentially could be had on the secondary. You realize Mike Evans, over 150 yards receiving, CeeDee Lamb, over 150, Puka Nacua, explosive plays. There are opportunities for the 49ers to move the football, and that's by attacking the weakness of the Lions, which is the secondary.
Brandon Ayuk, you're up. Okay, number 3. What does Dan Campbell bring to the team? Niner fans are used to a coach who calls the plays on offense. Dan Campbell, quite different, quite effective. What does he bring to the team?
Oh, man. You look at a head coach and you see an individual that brought an identity with his first introductory press conference. And I know many coaches, even Matt Patricia said, we want to play a physical, violent brand of football. We want to represent the city. But what Dan Campbell brought is a vast amount of experience with some of the elites of the game, some elite minds in having worked with and played for Bill Parcells and Sean Payton. The opportunity that Dan Campbell had, those 12 games as an interim head coach with Miami, I believe back in 2015, got 5 wins out of 12 in a real dire situation. And you recognize the experience that he gained really made him appealing for Sean Payton to take him under his wing and really become an assistant coach and a tight ends coach. So you recognize instant credibility when he walked in, even though he didn't have experience calling plays, what he brought was a level of leadership, an ability to galvanize a locker room. If you or any of your listeners caught Hard Knocks, you saw some speeches there that had me or anybody watching wanting to get up and run through a wall for Dan Campbell. And I think what he brings to the table is getting players to play at a high level and being willing that when the times are tough to bounce back. Too often in Detroit's history, they've had tough times. They've taken shots or had bad losses or bad calls, and they simply couldn't overcome it. No, Dan Campbell has embraced the fact that, hey, being gritty is important. Finding players that are resilient, that can handle adversity. Grant, this regime started off horribly. 3 wins the first year, starts off the second year 1-5. And ownership has to step up in front of Detroit's fans. And I was fortunate to be in the media at the time in the practice facility when the owner comes out, and she has to calm the fans because people were getting upset. And I asked the owner, Sheila Hemp, why are you confident in Dan Campbell? We're looking at rebuilds like the Falcons and the Giants, and they look to be kind of passing you, maybe even the Jets. And she said, point blank, I trust the process that we went through with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell working together, that we believe this is going to turn around. And starting after that, the Detroit Lions figured out how to win games close. All those close losses turned to close wins. And from the second half of 2022 into this year, Dan Campbell has changed the culture of the Lions. Not only are they no longer just all this year, Grant, they didn't lose back-to-back games one single time. They overcame adversity, and once they found their ability to learn to win, they've just taken off, and that's a credit to Dan Campbell.
Let me ask you about Jared Goff. Niners know him very well. You face him twice a year. And the impression that I guess we had of him out here before he left was that heck of an arm, can make every throw, turnover prone, statue. And if you hit him a few times, he'll fold. That was sort of the book on him. Niners beat him a bunch of times. How good is he now? Is that who he is now? And if not, who is he? How good is he?
Yeah, absolutely. I heard some of the talk coming out of the 49ers that said, hey, yeah, we see Goff playing at a high level, but pressure can change a quarterback and how they perform just that quick. And look, Grant, you watch football. Any quarterback that's under duress, that's what the Lions are going to try to do to the young Brock Purdy. They're going to try to pressure the quarterback. But what's the remedy? The Lions recognized in what Ben Johnson did that really makes him elite, and what I think is going to make him a potential serious threat to become a future NFL head coach, possibly with the Commanders, is the fact that he took an offseason and tailored and worked with Jared Goff to figure out exactly what he does well, which is obviously clearly throwing off the run action, being able to read pressures quickly, get the ball out, be accurate, be precise. And what Ben Johnson and Jared Goff have talked about over the last couple of years as we've explored what's going on with Jared Goff, he's playing at a much different level than he did with the Rams. He is somebody that is process-driven. He's somebody that needs his receivers at a certain spot at a certain time, needs the route tree to be at an exact spot. Even a guy like Jameson Williams, who everybody thought would emerge and be an individual that bursts onto the scene, needed time to get with Jared Goff and get his rhythm. But what's happened? Clearly, the Lions have, and it's not rocket science if you really think about it. Step one, build an elite offensive line that can keep the quarterback upright. When Jared Goff has time, can pick you apart, can make all the throws, is an individual, if he does make a mistake, hey, a lot of times when he threw an interception this year, the next drive was a scoring touchdown drive. Somebody that has a quick memory. And I think that being traded, being cast off, the way in which it went down with the Rams, where the whole NFL world felt like, oh, okay, the Rams needed to change because it was all Jared Goff's fault. And that's just really not the case. It's a team game. And any quarterback that doesn't have an offensive line, a running game, elite wide receivers, they're going to struggle. So what the Lions did is they said, number one, we're going to repair Goff's image and we're going to repair his confidence. We're going to give him all the tools needed. A great offensive line, a running game that is stout, that is elite. Last year, Jamal Williams had 17 touchdowns. Even with the productivity he had last year, the Lions said, you know what? We need our Alvin Kamara from the Saints. And they buck all the trends. They go out and they draft Jahmyr Gibbs, who since week 5 has become a running back that is elusive, can make cuts, has an ability to really make plays, and now is starting to really gain comfort. So, and then I haven't even talked yet, Grant, about Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is one of the most gifted and hardest working wide receivers and players in the league. When you give a guy that works hard, you give a quarterback, a receiver that never drops the ball, that is at the precise spot he's got to be in every single down, you're going to have the makings of a good quarterback. So, and also, Grant, your listeners need to know this. Dan Campbell is an elite offensive mind. He definitely, from the tight end position, understood what aggressiveness at the elite level looks like. He's definitely involved in that offense. And you recognize that the combination of Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, and Ben Johnson, I just think, man, has really allowed Jared Goff to peak and maximize his skills. Yes, is he in the face of pressure going to struggle? Absolutely. That should be the goal of every team. But good luck. Lions offensive line is one of the best in the league.
Who's going to win this game, John?
Man, Grant, it's going to be something to see, a spectacle. Many people are kind of wondering, how's this game going to go? You know, I think that both teams are going to want to run the football, establish the run. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's all world. You see on tape, you see what he's able to do to elude tackles. You see Brock Purdy, his confidence bursting on the scene. We're hearing that Deebo Samuel is getting back to practice. You know he's going to suit up. This is going to be a war. I think that the Lions clearly are going to learn a lot from what the Packers did offensively against that defense. A lot of runs outside, a lot of blocking, a lot of abilities to maybe go outside the tackle. So this is a game I think Dan Campbell loves. Pound the rock. We haven't even talked about David Montgomery, a true gritty running back that can really take advantage of this offensive line. It's going to be a close game. I know the 49ers are hungry. I see a very close contest. And really, it's just like in any game where you got the two really best teams in the NFC going at it, who blinks first. And, I out here all year long, this is a team that has won 12 games coming off of 2 home playoff wins. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a grind, maybe even overtime. But I think that the Lions take this one 20-17. Final possession, maybe. This is the way it goes.
Low scoring game.
Low scoring game. I see the Lions. They don't want to get into a shootout with the 49ers. They want to control the game and limit the possessions and keep it in the 20s. And I think, nothing official, but I think on their board, it's a race to 20. Who gets to 21st wins this football game. And I think that's going to be the Lions. And it's going to be tough. There's no disrespect to the 49ers. Clearly a team that didn't even play their best game against the Packers and beat one of the hottest teams in the NFC. And you recognize, you said it yourself, a team that's kind of been knocking on the door. Their hunger level should match Detroit's. 2 hungry teams going to battle for the NFC title. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to be in the stadium to see how it shakes out. I think it has all the makings of a classic, but being from Detroit, gotta think it, gotta believe it. 49ers go down to the Lions by 3.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean about the Detroit offensive game plan. run the ball, shorten the game, go for it on fourth down, give the Niners as few number of possessions as possible. That's got to be their game plan. John, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Absolutely. Make sure to check out All Lions for all information regarding the team that's going to come in to Levi Stadium this weekend.